So when you hear the expression, God, I wonder what these streets would say if they could talk, Sarasota Street Talk is making the streets talk, and we're recording what they're saying. So that, to me, that is what Sarasota Street Talk is all about.
Sarasota Street Talk is to introduce people to the surroundings.
We're literally right now, we're downtown Sarasota, and we hear people all around us telling different stories. Those are the streets talking.
Hey, Scotty, how are you?
Mark, how you doing?
Okay, we're ad-libbing.
We don't have any mics.
No, we're ad-libbing this. No, we're using the mic in the thing.
I know, I see that.
See, this is what the beauty of live is. So, my name is Mark. I'm a realtor at Caldwell Banker, downtown Sarasota. My partner in crime to my left is
Scott Maloff at Summit Lending Solutions. And together we are
Sarasota Street Talk.
But we're also ILDS tonight.
Yes, we are. So we're doing this. I love downtown Sarasota. It's a group, not a page. Everyone that's on there, please join. Shameless plug. But we're going to get right to the chase. So we are very, very pleased. We're fortunate enough to be able to, most of it is about people downtown and just individuals, where they're from. You know, if the streets could talk, what would they say? Everyone has a story. That's the streets of Sarasota. That's what we're all about. That's what we do. We have day jobs. This is just a side thing, which we have a lot of fun doing.
And our guest this is his real job.
But this,
he's really
so without further ado, we're gonna go and use the little switcheroo thing on this, because this is live. We don't have we don't have thousands and thousands of dollars.
We don't sit in
here
we don't sit in an air conditioned.
We don't sit in an air conditioned studio and with our post production.
But we get people like this.
Quality entertainment. So anyway, Mr. Mike Paramore, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to flip back on us occasionally, but no one wants to see us. So thank you so much for coming on. And we're sitting here right outside. We're just down a little bit away from McCurdy's Comedy Club. You had a killer show. And again, so I got to, if I could, first of all, I'm going to turn this back on me, because I owe this really for something. I owe.
How are you?
This
came about.
I owe Mr. Paramore an apology. So I went ahead and I came on. We came to last night's show, okay? And we're going to interview him now. He was kind enough to let us do it after the show last night. Well, I had a little bit too much fun last night. And so I was like, sir, I apologize. Could we do this tomorrow? Just because I've had a couple drinks and I'd like to be professional about this. And he was kind enough to say yes. So he's probably tired after doing all the shows right now. So I just want to say thank you very much for allowing us to do this.
The cruise
yes,
story.
Scotty.
The cruise.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. But first, I want to go. So how was the show tonight?
You made yourself look good in that presentation of how it went, because you kind of stumbled over to me, grabbed my booty and everything. And he was like, "You want to be interviewed?" And I was like, "That don't sound legit."
I was
your words are saying yes, your hands saying something else.
I didn't know any of this either. Positive. Mike, I'm standing there. He's like, "We're not doing it tonight." I'm like, "What do you mean we're not doing it?"
Because I don't want to
be
that guy.
I cannot do this interview. Mike's fine.
I've already sexually harassed several people.
He's a professional. That's why, of course, he's fine. So I want to.
Mike's fine. I'm not.
I want to prelude this.
You're awesome, dude.
Yeah, you were phenomenal last night. You killed last night. So anyway, I want to prelude this real quick. This won't. Thank you again for your time. We won't take much of your time. I know you're tired. You want to get back. So my wife and I went on a cruise for the first time. Again, we're not going to flip it back and forth. Well, we'll flip it back for this one. Took a cruise here a couple months ago, and we had the pleasure of seeing Mike Paramore on the cruise, and he was doing his gig. So I go on. I'm dying. I'm dying, and Teresa's just beside herself. And so I go on. I have to go on afterwards and say, "Hey, great show. Have you ever heard of this is where things get weird. Have you ever heard of Sarasota?" With a straight face, he's like, "Yeah, tell Pam and Les I said hi." I'm like, I got told. So apparently he's like, "Yeah, man, I got a show on May 18th." And so we got so excited. We booked the tickets right away. And the rest kind of is history. Here we are. So we're going to flip back on you now again, sir.
Thank you for giving us time. Right?
Yeah, man. Cruise ships are weird, bro. That's a weird collection of like a bucket of people. So it's like, it's a very
no escape,
weird interaction. You know what I'm saying? You go from like nobody knowing you to like everybody knowing you in like a matter of days.
And then you're trapped with these same people on this boat
for
like days.
You have to do well.
You have to interact.
because you have to do well. Because imagine being trapped on a boat with a bunch of people that hate you. Like that's, and you just walking past. I think that's his ass.
And then you show up to Sarasota 3 weeks later, and you have to deal with him.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. And I pop out of the woodwork, and you're
Yeah.
like, God, he really did contact.
That's exactly
So, can we ask questions? I have.
We got-
Where are you from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, that guy
Buckeyes.
behind us.
Born and raised.
This heckler behind us is from
Born and
Ohio.
raised.
Yeah.
Y'all did. It says when you do flip back to y'all, it's gonna be creepy because now it's like a weird dude in the back.
I know.
Yeah,
Right?
all of a sudden, where'd he come from?
This is I join them in the back.
We just told him to be quiet.
We
As
don't know.
uncomfortable as you guys are when they go back.
He's like it. He's like the it guy in that.
Don't know who he is.
Okay.
So all right. So
Okay.
actually, so speaking of hecklers, that's got to be kind of like an art form to kind of get the, because you get them right. So obviously you get them.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
shut them down quick,
I mean,
right?
it's-
Is that how that? I mean, I've always been
It
really.
depends on the kind of heckling. There are different brands of hecklers. Some people are heckling because they're having a good time, so they're like loud laughers. They don't really know that they're a problem because they think they're having.
Or they
a
say
good
something
time,
loud and
or-
stupid out of context, like me last night.
Then you have the person that thinks that I'm talking directly to them, like it's just a conversation between me and them. So
Yeah.
like answering the jokes as though it's an intimate conversation. And then you have
know there's about
the
100 other
drunk
people
person. Then you got the drunk person who's capable of anything.
Yeah.
Just probably
Or trying to
Just be
impress
careful.
somebody that he's with
Right.
or something like, I'm the
Exactly.
funny guy. Yeah.
exactly. So to me, honestly, most comedians would just like to go up there and do their set that they prepared and worked on really, really hard. But I'm the opposite. The less of my jokes I have to do, the better the show probably win. You know what I mean?
Okay, you can ask that.
Yeah. No,
This
I
brings
totally
me to
understand.
this.
Well, you had a question you wanted to ask.
I had one question
Yes.
for this entire thing, and it was basically you don't go
Who's
up
the one
there.
that prepped?
You don't tell jokes. You don't go up there and have a routine to tell jokes. Your entire show is the audience. I
Well,
noticed that.
I will have.
I noticed that.
I will
work
have
it. You work them well.
like a list of things I'd like to talk about,
Yeah.
but I'm not like obsessed with getting to it. If I get to it, I get to it. If I
Yeah.
don't, I don't.
Yeah.
And the audience kind of dictates where the show goes.
Yeah.
Like if you have a low energy, then I'll probably get to all these things.
Oh, okay.
I just let you
So
go.
you have jokes to tell if the
I do
audience
have
sucks.
it if I need
Okay.
it, I do have it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But I
if
noticed last
the
night-
audience is hot, I don't need
Last
it.
night you just worked the crowd.
Yeah, well,
was good. I loved
everybody
it.
kind of wanted to laugh and
Yeah.
they wanted to be involved. And who am I to tell them no? Like,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's get into it.
So
They
we're,
were writing your jokes for you.
yeah, I guess some do. Man. Some just, and I think I wrote one of them when I met you on the cruise. You're like, who's that one? Who's that guy? Like, and
I know your wife.
ripped me. Just like, yeah, she married down. Or something like, that was
Yeah,
that-
even one lady tonight,
was
like
fantastic.
they think they're like the audience member will think that they're like helping or something. I don't know, but like tonight, we met a lady named Beverly, who's a very interesting lady, and then I have this shirt on, and this lady screamed from the back of the crowd, "Beverly's on your shirt!" And I'm like, "Thank you, ma'am. I couldn't do this without you. I appreciate your input." Like I'm like, everybody give it up for her. It's her Make-A-Wish today. She
and then you
like-
keep on
like, man,
referencing
Bev,
Beverly.
you know what color this is? Can you give me a color, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of rolling with the punches.
Last night
And,
was Barbara.
and who is Barbara last
Barbara,
night? You
yeah.
keep on hitting on her like
Barbara,
throughout the show. You keep on
Barbara was sitting right there, and she was so innocent and so just like very well. Just she looked well read, well dressed. She was just kind of cool, just sitting there, and like but she didn't look engaged.
right.
So I'm like, you can't not be engaged in the front row.
Yeah.
Like most people think like comedians like are going to like attack them in the front row, period.
Oh.
But if you're behaving, then we good. Now I don't have anything to say if you're behaving. It's usually somebody doing something weird that they don't know that they're doing.
Yeah.
Like the guy who's like has his arms folded like in the front row, and it's like, bro, like you making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're staring at me kind of a
And
little bit too long.
You're affecting my self-esteem
Yeah.
with this
Eye
angry,
contact's a little too
It's
long.
this very angry, off-putting
Open up. Open
body
up.
language, bro. I don't like it.
Either come up and fight me or
Right.
unfold
Like, I
your
don't know
arms.
what you're
Unfold
going through
your
right
arms.
now.
So was that Beverly, right? Was that last night?
Barbara.
Barbara, I'm sorry.
Barbara.
Was that Barbara after the show they came up to you?
They usually
yeah.
do.
Yeah, that was
But
Barbara. She
I
was
think
so sweet. So sweet.
You notice our wristbands, by the way?
the
Okay,
you got the guys that
Oh,
did
yeah,
the
we
Journey Matters bands
Oh, we
on.
got that.
The
The,
Journey Matters.
the early show had a Cole. It was a family. It was a guy, his wife, his twins, his daughter, and his grandparent, and his parents.
Right.
And so it was like this whole family, and I ended up talking to Cole because Cole was one of those guys with like this mean face on. It's like, and he was just sitting there. So I was like, I'm not gonna let you do that in my front row. Like, you're gonna have a good time. So we're gonna force this. So I ended up, we got to know that family really well. Let's just say that. Let's just say.
But that's probably part of even like the heckling thing too, to keep that from happening. Because if they know, like, you're not afraid to go aggressively talk right there, they'll be like, hey, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I'm not going to be that guy.
A lot of people want the attention until they get it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like,
well said.
oh,
Well said.
no, I don't want this.
So I've got so much respect for the fact that you go. So how many shows did you do down here?
We did six. 1 Thursday, 2 Friday, Saturday, and then 1 Sunday.
So you must have so much material that you know so well, like to be able to be so consistent.
Well,
because every night you got to be consistent. Like,
if I have to say, I have a gift or a talent, it is that I'm witty. Like, I don't have a problem with, if you say something, I got something. Like, you know what I'm saying? So honestly, most of the time, I am looking forward to seeing what happens myself. Like, I'm like, we'll see what happens when I get up there. We'll see what
And then
happens.
when you prove too that you don't take yourself too seriously, then people are kind of like, but if people see that though, then you're like, hey, I can laugh myself, but you're an asshole. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like,
well, they consider that to be like likability, but I won't claim I have a lot of likability because I may be a butthole to somebody, but I will say that if you say something, I more than likely, you give me more than 2 seconds, I got something to say.
I got something.
I look forward to seeing what's coming out. I look forward to seeing how the show gonna go. Like, I feel like even when I'm on stage, I'm watching the show with y'all. Like,
and at the end of the day, too, you're at a comedy show, man. So, like, if anyone's getting all offended or anything, like, I will straight up admit he ripped me one last night.
No, I know.
And I laughed because it's not I mean, it's not personal.
Especially on cruise ships.
I didn't even know it.
Especially on cruise ships.
Yeah,
they will kick us off like immediately. Like, I've seen dudes get left on private islands to fend for themselves because they pissed off.
Then they name a show after it.
So last night reminded me of something. Last night, the people with their feet up on the stage.
Yeah.
You were like, what the fuck? Make yourself
You're pretty comfortable here, right? Make
in Chicago area, a suburb probably, but Chicago, Tom Dreesen.
Okay.
I'm watching Tom Dreesen, front row. My feet are on the stage.
Yeah.
Bad move.
No.
Bad move. You want to get picked on?
Oh yeah.
Put your feet on the stage.
I told you if you misbehave,
you're asking.
You're gonna get it. If you misbehave, you're gonna get it.
Sarasota, Chicago, doesn't matter.
It's like you know, comedy club. It's like join the military. Like you want to be in basic training and be invisible. Don't be standing out. Don't be like
just be
or
regular,
just
normal
or
person.
Just have fun.
Try to be normal.
And Mike's gonna find you anyways.
Yeah.
If you go back a couple rows,
if you behaving, I don't got nothing. If you behaving, I don't got nothing to say.
Yeah.
If you behaving, I don't got nothing to say.
Oh, you said some stuff about me last night. I was just sitting all by myself.
Well, you were sitting at a table, and you guys, and a lot of people don't know that they're doing this, but I'm like, I'm looking at you the whole entire time.
Yeah.
You guys had your little conversations. It wasn't loud.
Yeah.
It wasn't loud, but you were right there having it. So it was just like, I gotta get you.
Yeah.
I gotta get you. You know what I mean?
No,
Okay,
phenomenal.
fun.
So I always have to ask, where do you get your material from? So like is there like a time you're like, look, this is material writing time, or do you just like myself? I kind of have a pad of not that I'm a comic, but like for ideas, like you have a pad of paper.
You gotta be able to do
things
both. Honestly, you gotta be able to
come up,
or learn yourself and learn how you develop material. Like, for example, I like to record my sets because a lot of my jokes are written on stage while I'm performing. I give myself a lot of wiggle room to see what happens. Right. Sometimes good stuff happens, sometimes bad stuff happens. But there are times where you're going to have to put pen to paper, and a lot of comics are the opposite of me, where their strength is pen to paper, and they stick with whatever they write down, they stick with that when they get on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm the opposite. Like, it's tough for me to do pen to paper, just sit down and be like, I'm going to think of something funny right now.
Yeah.
And then just kind of write out this funny thing. But when I'm on stage, I give myself room and leeway. Like, I worked at that. Like, I really wanted to do that. Like, I wanted that to be a part of my arsenal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I practiced. Like, if I had 5 minutes, I would only do 4. If I had 10 minutes, I would only prepare for 8 and give myself a little bit more time to feel. A little bit more time to feel. And now, I think I've done 30 minutes and not told a joke before. Like just
So
riff
we
it.
saw you. So in the cruise, we saw you twice. So you went to show at I forgot what it was, Side Splitters or something on the Norwegian cruise. That's the club, and then you did the big stage with the other comedian there. That killed too. And then this one right here we saw. So we go to my wife and I go to McCurdy's probably once a month at least.
Yeah.
We never check who's on. It's always funny.
Yeah.
Always somebody funny there.
Yeah. That's what I like about McCurdy's. There's
but
two ways to build a club: names or reputation. And McCurdy's chose reputation. You can go and you don't have to know who the person is, but you just trust they're gonna be good.
Yep.
Now I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you go to a comedy club and you don't know the headliner, he's probably amazing.
Yeah.
He's probably, because the guys who has a name,
that's what we find.
they don't need to be funny no more. Everybody who comes to the show thinks they're funny already. So they don't need to be funny. They don't put a lot of effort in to be funny. The only reason they're on the road is two reasons. They're out of money or they're working on a special. That's not going to be funny. You know what I'm saying?
So which are you?
He's funny.
I'm kidding.
No.
I'm neither.
You're not out of money and you're not working on a special?
But McCurdy's
You're
is
just
one of those
funny.
few comedy clubs that have a reputation of being funny and you can show up and trust that you'll have a good time with whoever they sign.
It was packed.
So being that we go there like once a month, we see comics, so we tend to see some of the same people and Les and his co-partner, I forgot his name too, but co-owner I guess there too. And they get up there in the morning. They always kill. They say the same thing though. Pretty much. I mean, it's their gig. It's just fine. You know, people don't go there all the time like we do.
And Mike.
And Mike's. But I saw you 3 times and didn't hear the same joke once. So you must have such a repertoire of stuff.
Yeah, well,
that quick. You know, being
a
able
lot
to
of that
play
stuff is like I said. A lot of that stuff is wit. You know, just trying to navigate that moment.
Yeah,
it's
that's
with
skill,
the audience, because I want to watch a fun show too.
So it's like a reverse. You're watching us, watching you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
But like I said, a lot of comics have their material. I have about 2 hours in my bag, and I can dip and dive into those 2 hours as I see fit. But this is the set I have, right? And I never wanted to be that dude. Like I always wanted to be able to pivot if I needed to, adjust, clown whoever, and get back into my material and like
so
I wanted to be chaotic.
How long have you been doing this? Stand up. I guess
I think I'm in year 14, maybe.
14 years.
14.
Wow. And you were what?
Crazy.
12 when you started. How old were you?
I started comedy late. Comedy didn't come to me till late. Up until I was probably 18, 19.
Okay.
You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to NFL. I played football. I got a scholarship to the University of Akron, and you could tell me I would play football. I got hurt.
Yeah, this guy behind us.
I got hurt, and then I was a little down. Comedy didn't come to me till I was maybe 28, 29.
Okay.
I didn't start. That's when I started comedy. So it kind of came to me kind of
good.
late. Believe it or not, I'm not a center of attention type of person. If you tell people that I grew up with that I do comedy, they're gonna be like, we can't be talking about the same.
I believe that too, because I can tell by your presence on stage.
I believe
you're a quiet.
I'm
he's kind of a quiet, introverted individual, and he goes up there and he kills it. And I'm like, this guy is not in your face.
Yeah, he's a
That's why I loved him.
He's a storyteller.
Yes.
Like he's up there, he's telling stories and all that.
And he's not. And I think the same thing about Mike Stevens. He's kind of not. I don't want to say introverted. But you guys are not in your face. I'm going to tell you all these jokes.
I got a feeling
we're just reacting to the crowd, and we're loving this stuff, and that's how I feel about him and Mike.
Yeah.
Last night was awesome.
And I think a lot of comics too.
Yeah. Did you see what happens?
Do you find that it's kind of like more on the quiet side? Probably more than
well,
do you think? Because it's more cathartic for them to get up and
I think about 80% of comics are introverts.
Yeah.
There's the other 20% that's like, Les, who will wear a shiny affliction shirt on his
like a Richard Pryor.
Right. Like Les loves the attention. Like you like
then you got the Orny Adamses.
But there's this funny story about this guy in the 80s a rich guy, I can't remember his name, but he was a guy who could command, he was a famous person, and he had a party at his house, and he wanted his party to be amazing, so he decided to invite mostly comedians. He's like, my party gonna be dope, I want everybody to have fun, so I'm inviting only comedians. So he invited, Seinfeld, he invited all these amazing comics, and he said it was one of the most boring situations he's ever been in his life. Because you have all these introverts, just everybody people watching.
No.
Everybody just
because they're not
observationalists, just people watch. It's like Seinfeld. There's no way Seinfeld is fun. Like
no.
Yeah.
Seinfeld is an observationalist.
Right.
He can tell you about a receipt that you bought and make you crack up about it.
Right.
That dude is not a talkative dude.
And,
Like,
when he's on stage to do his thing, so like when he's lights are on him,
when
he
got
goes
that full
on.
clip. You got that full clip of stuff of people watching. He's gonna unload it on stage. But if you talk to him like outside of that stage,
and Seinfeld used
it.
He had the audience. He was an audience kind of guy.
Yeah.
If you look back, Seinfeld was an audience kind of guy. He played with the
Observations,
audience.
right?
Observations. And I'm telling you, last night, you, Mike Stevens, I was like, this is so much fun.
Yeah, and you can tell too. So yourself just have the personalities, like so you are like not always feeling like you need to be funny, but you just are. You're a funny individual.
Well, it's funny too because that's probably the biggest
natural
complaint that a comedian like me get is that, you know, once you get off stage or like people always want to let's have a drink, let's go hang out, and then they're like,
Oh, the comic or the
like, is he okay? Yeah, the comic.
The comic's kind of like
right. The comic's
I want to go home.
That's the on stage was like I said, the unloading of the clip that I just loaded.
Yeah.
For the past 6-8 months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With me watching the world and writing it down from a dark corner. And now I'm just letting y'all know what I saw. Once I get back off the stage, I'm watching more things. Like I'm observationalist, like at best. So it's very hard for us to perform at the bar.
Right. Yeah. You kind of want to calm down after that. Just have a drink and just relax. How long would you say it takes to get like a style? Like, do you think anyone?
Oh my God!
Does that probably takes?
I mean,
years,
it
right?
varies, but
it's different for different people.
It varies, but I'd say an incredible amount of years, probably.
Yeah. You've definitely got
6, 7, 8
in my
years.
opinion, you definitely have a style.
I used to say that make that joke is that always was surprised if any relationship could survive the beginning of comedy. Like if you are married as a comedian, comedy would have had to come first. You would have met your wife doing it, because if you were like a regular person and you started comedy, she's definitely leaving you. There's no way she's not leaving. Because how do you explain?
All your ex-wives.
How do you explain that you have to be gone 40 weeks out of the year, but I'm not bringing any money? I'm not bringing any money home. But good news, baby. In about 6 or 7 years, I'm gonna be bringing home a lot of maybe a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I'll be
a whole lot of little bit of money, baby.
So where do you perform? Do you have an area that you perform mostly, as far as like Southwest Florida? Do you go to the Midwest, Chicago?
I feel like as a comedian, you go where you get paid.
Okay,
we're kind of whores like that. Like I I do military gigs and probably cruises the most.
Okay.
Clubs is probably third, then colleges.
Thank you so much for that.
And
I'm
Army,
so thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah,
you
that's
mentioned
one of my
last
favorite
night.
things.
Cruises,
That's one of my favorite things to do. Is that I always like it because it's challenging. Because like a lot of the military gigs, you kind of just somewhere that everybody could get together. Like they put the stage and the microphone in the weirdest place.
Yeah, like, just a mess hall, some tent.
In his tent, right? Yeah. In his tent over here by a burger bar. Like,
kind of like this.
You go and you grab food, and then you come over and mess, exactly. And then the trains over here.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like those are always fun because they're really appreciative is the word I want to say.
Yep.
Maybe like thankful.
No,
like it's just cool.
When you take everything away, and you're living like on almost nothing, and and then the food sucks, and but you're loving what you do for your country and all that, and then you get the pleasure of like yourself coming and just bringing some comedy. Like you appreciate the word is appreciation.
Yeah, no,
because you learn to appreciate the smaller things.
You feel
you don't have it. You don't have it.
And it's both ways.
Yeah, your wife's at home, like thousands of miles away.
But the military people appreciate him being there,
absolutely.
And he appreciates being there.
Yeah,
that's what I love about it.
You don't. And it's funny because if somebody was to describe a military gig to you, you'd be like, I'd rather just shoot myself in the face because it's like, hey, we got this packed out crowd. It's 11 females and 400 dudes.
Right.
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or no.
Hey, where will I be staying? With the 400 dudes. The same tent.
Mike's going, what am I thinking?
Bro, it's like the weirdest setup I had.
Awesome that you do that.
the weirdest setup I had was with Space Force, and I didn't even
Oh,
know.
you did that.
I didn't even know Space Force was a thing. It was during COVID.
Yeah.
When they had parking lot shows. So they would set up a stage and you would be talking to parked cars. People would be inside of the cars.
Yeah.
And then like they would flick their lights if they liked the joke and like blow the horn if they liked the joke. It was the worst setup of all time.
Yeah, that's
right. So, but this is what I was greeted. This was my first experience with Space Force, right? So
yeah, you guys keep your lights down, please. Like all these lights.
Because that doesn't sound like a word the brightest minds in our country will come up with. Why would you call it Space Force? That sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon. So you get an email saying Space Force is going to pick you up from the airport. There was literally who picked me up was an Asian man named Bob, which is absolutely witness protection. There's no way. He's a giant, like, cocky dude.
Big dude,
big
Asian
Asian cocky dude. He said, I'm Bob. I'm like, fuck out of here. You're not. There's no way you're Bob, bro. I've been on this earth for 40 years. I don't think I've ever met a Bob before. That's only on TV, bro.
Yeah.
So
it's not even a real name. Let alone attached
this giant Asian Bob in this only cab, no backseat pickup truck. And I get in this truck and we pull up to this empty parking lot. He's like, "We're here," and I'm like, "There's no way I don't die in this movie. Like, there's no way." So I'm with Bob. I'm with the big giant Asian Bob, performing for the Space Force in an empty parking lot.
What city? What city?
That's a bad movie. That's when you're yelling at the TV. Don't go in there. Don't open the door.
Why are you opening the door? Don't get in that car. Why are you getting in that car? So that was my Space Force experience.
What city were you in?
We were in Denver. It was a small town in Denver. I can't remember the name of the town, but I know it was Denver. It was in Denver.
Wow. Okay.
Amazing. Space Force.
That is pretty cool. What I had. When you're up there, when you're on stage, does time go pretty quick? Like, because you always see comics kind of looking at the top, and correct me if I'm wrong. There's a clock at the top, right? Tells you that you're.
At McCurdy's, every club is set up differently. McCurdy's has a clock for you to look at. It depends on how the show's going. Because I've done 10 minutes that seemed like it was an hour. If nobody likes you, or if your only feedback is blinking lights and horn blowing, that show's going to last a little longer.
That would take a little bit to get used to.
But if it's fire and it's like everything's smooth and the conversation is flowing, and every breath you take after that breath is something to say right there, like those shows go real quick. Those shows go real quick because you have cues as a comic, like okay, my last joke is 2 minutes, then my pitch is 3 minutes, so I get a 5-minute light. When I get the 5-minute light, I know shut up and do this and this But like sometimes you'll get that light that you got 5 minutes left, and you're like, I've only been up here for like 10 minutes. Like what? Like this has been so it's been so organic and smooth, and I don't even know.
Last night you went through the crowd, right center, left center, left, and you were like, and I was like, I'm like, this dude is funny as can be, but he was just working the crowd.
That was one of those shows.
Like the entire crowd was his show, which is awesome.
I don't know if you noticed, but there was a point where I got that light, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'm about to get out of here. Like, because it kind of like it went fast because everybody was on 10. Everybody had a response ready. Everybody was like y'all didn't, almost to the point where y'all didn't want jokes. I like, please engage. So once I did, it would just.
When the senior citizens like us, you were all over that. Sarasota, you old people, we're easy pickings.
Sarasota's a haven for comics.
I know, right?
Absolutely. Hey, man, I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to come around here rather than do that weird back and forth. We're just
let's get out in the video.
We're just gonna, all right, so that's
y'all got to show them the weird dude in the back. Y'all got to show them the weird dude.
We'll do a flip. So here are the voices that you guys have been hearing the entire time.
Cool.
I'm already laughing.
It's also a dude with a stripper on his shirt. We don't know.
It's a fishing. It's a Florida fishing thing.
That's not a fishing thing.
It's a
show the That's not a fishing thing.
It's a fishing thing.
She's naked.
Officially.
Nobody fishes.
That's the dirty hooker.
Aren't they?
Okay, and there's the weird stalker just smiles the entire time right there. No, the weird smile.
You can have all that. I don't
Some
care.
man on the street.
All right. Have a good night. Have a good night.
Thank you, bro.
All right. So,
Can you see us?
all right.
Yeah, Raphael, can you see us? Yeah, I see it. You get kicked out. Dude, if you get kicked out of this bar, you're in trouble.
All right. So, again, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for coming on.
Got you guys. I can see you.
Sarasota. Love you guys, man.
When he comes back here, please come and see him.
Come see
He's
him.
on
Come
any
hang out.
cruise ship if you happen to want to join.
The
He's so
journey
funny.
matters.
He is funny.
The journey matters.
The journey matters. The journey matters.
Love your journey.
He's so funny that you should join the military just to see him. Like
Mike,
maybe he'll come and see you.
I have
Join
three.
Space Force.
I have three words
We
for
might
you.
bunk up. We might bunk up.
I have
Maybe
three
you'll
words
cuddle.
for you.
Maybe you'll cuddle.
Make good choices.
Yes.
Make good choices.
Sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That's how we end our show.
Have a
Make good
fantastic evening, my
choices.
friend.
All right, you're gonna flip it on.